There are people on the internet who are just bloody mental, and I was fortunate enough to run into one of them the other day. Now, as some of you may know, a little while ago, a friend of mine, Meg, put up a video speaking out against homophobia, and it was very, very well thought out and well put together video, I thought, and I'll put a link below. Now, I thought, being as it's somewhat of a divisive issue, she would inevitably get some hater comments. But to my, pleasant surprise, in fact, the response to it was overwhelmingly positive. So it was pretty much a success. And time passed and we went on, and about a week or so after she'd posted it, she told me about this guy who was commenting on there, who was leaving some rather interesting comments. And then he left one for me, which was this. So, intrigued, I went to the comments section and discovered the whole back and forth that this guy had been having with Meg. BradSSFL had been making some rather interesting claims. Now, I will admit, the comments section did get rather heated that night, but looking back on them now, I feel that some of what he said deserves a second airing. Okay, Brad, the reason I said non-existent Christ was because all of the non-biblical historical records from that time are shaky and contradictory at best about the existence of Christ. Now, even if you could prove conclusively that Jesus was the person who was around at that time and started all of this religion off, which is possible and perhaps likely, you would still have all of your work ahead of you to prove that he was divine, upon which your argument that homosexuality is perverted or sinful rest. Brad, I've just stated the evidence against Jesus being who the Bible claims he is. His very existence, let alone him being the Son of God, is in question. Also, the only reason we use BC and AD is because that happens to be the dominant culture in the Western world. I mean, you ask the Jews what year it is, and we're somewhere in the 5000s. You ask the Muslims, we're in the 1400s. If you ask the Chinese, we're up in the 12,000s. And while the original event it's based on has a religious significance, really and truly, these days it's just out of convenience that we use it. And the non-religious term would be BCE, before Common Era, or CE, Common Era. What am I prejudiced about, Brad? What have I lied about? And okay, while my spelling might not be the best in the world, I fail to see how being dyslexic prevents me from being able to have a cogent, rational debate. Brad, every time you call me a liar from now on, I'm going to play this clip. Because you never actually stated what it is I'm supposed to be lying about. As for hating God, that presupposes he exists in the first place. It doesn't seem to be much point in hating something that might well turn out to be just some aspect of early man trying to justify his existence. Brad, it seems much more likely that man created God, but suppose it's to be true for a moment. What then could oppose God's will? Nothing, could it? Nothing could oppose God's will. Yet, here I am. Here we all are. There are the gays. You see, this is where me and Meg, even though we come at it from different angles, actually do find agreement, is that Meg doesn't believe homosexuality is a sin because nobody is born separate from God's love. I don't believe homosexuality is a sin because I don't believe there's a God. Yet, still, here we are. What sort of sense, Brad, would it make to create a sinful creation you're only later then going to judge unworthy of your infinite love and send to hell forever for 80 years of sins you committed? That's ridiculous. That would be akin to God creating us sick and commanding us be well. Original sin. So, you believe the Bible is the literal word of God. Not translatable, not metaphorical, the word. Where do you begin? Actually, let's start at the beginning. Genesis, let there be light. Could that be a metaphor, perhaps, for the Big Bang? No, God just went click. Okay, so yeah, we're all descended from Adam and Eve, so we're all cousins. Is that it? Inbred cousins. Leviticus, there's a few passages in Leviticus that actually, far beyond condoning slavery, actually, positively encourage it. And also, that's the chapter where it talks about homosexuality being an abomination, which is where all of this debate has come from. So you're telling me that the Israelites wandered the desert for 40 years under the impression that murder, stealing, lying, adultery, etc. were all perfectly fine, only then to be told at Sinai, actually, you've got to cut that shit out now. This is all very good mythology, but it doesn't really have any bearing on the lives of intelligent, thinking human beings in the 21st century. The Department of Homeland Security, and tell them what? That I'm exercising my right to free speech, that I have opinions contrary to that of 2nd century peasants, that I, that I've misspelt there. Oh, they'll be breaking out the ICBMs before dawn. I suppose perhaps you believe that because I support the right of a woman to have an abortion, that I'm an accessory to mass murder. Is that where you're getting this whole terrorism angle from? God created marriage and sex to be between a man and a woman. Marriage is a social construct born over generations. Sex, I think we've pretty much figured out on our own. And as for a woman's right to choose to kill her baby, there's a difference between killing a baby and removing a blastocyst. Also, that last line of yours, shouldn't you consider rephrasing that? I mean, I could drop my trousers and prove it to you, but I would ask you to take it on faith. You seem to be good at that. Excuse me, Brad, I'll just be putting on my makeup. Because, of course, evolution is all you need to justify a Holocaust, isn't it, Brad? I mean, really, what else is there? And, I don't really have to convince myself that there's no God. Evolution, and lack of evidence otherwise, does that perfectly well for me. Idiot. I mean, anyone would think you were just a bigoted, woman-hating jerk or something. Brad, your country was founded under Canada and above Mexico and has remained there in more ways than one ever since. And it was founded by people who saw the folly of having theistic demagoguery running everything. I suppose if a woman is raped or a victim of incest, it's okay to deprive her of her right to life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness, for the sake of ensuring she doesn't shirk her role as broodmare for God. I could go on, Brad, but we're about out of time. If you feel there is something I have missed, please make a video response. But But for now, good night, and may God be less.